Blessings. Welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. Again, we're going to look at law enforcement takeaways from today's read, which was 2 Samuel chapters 8 and 10. There's an accompanying set of um, passages out of 1 Chronicles chapters 18 and 19. And also David wrote Psalm 60 after one of the battles that we read about in today's read. So hope you got a chance to read ahead of these things. I know that right now, while we're in 2 Samuel, there's a lot of accompanying verses that are going along with it. So I hope you have time to read those, but if you don't, at least read the chapters and verses out of 2 Samuel. Those are the ones right now that are really we're pulling our daily topics out of. Today, um, we're going to pull something out of chapter 8 verse 15, but it relates back to something we talked about just a few days ago in chapter 5 verse 12. And if you remembered, in chapter 5 verse 12, it said, "And David realized that the Lord had established him as king over Israel, that he being God had exalted David's kingdom for the sake of God's people Israel." So God exalted David specifically to bless the people. It wasn't just because David was such a great king and going to be such a wonderful administrator and going to build up their economy and keep them safe. God didn't do it for David. He did it, all those reasons, for the people. And we spoke about how we need to pray that for our leaders. It was so incredible today as I was reading chapter 8, verse 15. It is a fulfillment of those very words. Today it said, "So David reigned over all Israel, and David administered justice and righteousness for all his people." So David is the fulfillment of what God said he was there to do in the beginning. Now, David's still got a long way to reign and a lot of years to go. We're going to see a lot more stories about David in the Bible, but it is so cool to see the fulfillment of this. Um, David is really successful because God surrounded him with some really incredible administrators. We see Benaiah as one of the guys who's listed, and man, he is one of my absolute favorite characters in the Bible. He is head of David's bodyguard, and we're going to read a lot of great stories about him. You'll see he's the guy that jumped in a pit on a snowy day to kill a lion. He was an incredible warrior, did a lot of amazing feats for David. But anyway, and then as we read a little bit further down in chapter 10, we're going to see an absolute contrast. David's got this administration that gives him good counsel, and they're good men. God surrounding him with good people. But we're going to see this young kid named Hunan, um, who gets some really poor advice from his administrators, just from one extreme to the other, and they decide just to attack David for no reason. And they lose pretty dearly, and they wind up being subjected to Israel for the rest of their lives. But lots of great reads, lots of good lessons today, and let's pray that we're the fulfillment of these promises to protect the people of our communities and to share light in the darkness. So be safe, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Tomorrow's read is going to be out of 2 Samuel chapters 11 and 2. There's an accompanying verse or chapters in 1 Chronicles chapter 20. Just 3 verses. Read 1, 2, and 3, and then read Psalm 51, and you're going to see how they fit in with 2 Samuel. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and be safe.